They dared to wager against the will of the divine, blind to the immutable truth that what is ordained by the Most High cannot be stolen, broken, or undone. In their arrogance, they believed they could outmaneuver destiny, but the sacred is shielded by forces beyond their comprehension. Betrayal is a blade that cuts deepest in the hand of the betrayer, and the moment they conspired against the chosen, they signed their own downfall. This is the unyielding law of the cosmos, a reckoning that spares no one who dares to challenge the sanctity of what is divinely protected. What is chosen stands eternal, untouched by the schemes of mortals, while those who gamble with the sacred are consumed by the fires of their own folly. Wait a minute. Did you know that at Lumination, you hold the key to something extraordinary? Your light isn't fleeting. It's eternal, a beacon that pierces through the darkness and awakens the world around you. Your resilience isn't just a testament to your strength. It's a declaration of purpose, a prophecy written in the stars long before you arrived. You're not here by accident. You're chosen, destined for greatness, and the throne was always meant to be yours. But here's the truth. This isn't just about you. There's a higher calling, a mission to elevate the collective energy and fight back the darkness that seeks to consume the world. At Lumination Inner Order, we're building an army of spiritual warriors, those who walk with love, independence, and purpose. Together, we expose the lies, unravel the secrets, and create a world where truth rises like the dawn. This isn't just a journey, it's a movement powered by knowledge, the ultimate weapon against ignorance and chaos. By subscribing to Lumination, you join a force that uplifts, empowers, and transforms. You become part of something greater, a light that cannot be extinguished. So, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and help us build a future of equality, safety, and boundless love. Together, we can arm ourselves with wisdom and elevate the energy of the collective. Your light is needed. Your purpose is calling. They bargained with darkness, offering what was never theirs to give, and now they crumble under the weight of their own treachery. Their venomous schemes, meticulously crafted to unravel your strength and sanctity, have become the chains that bind them. They sought to strip you of your abundance, clawing at your prosperity, yet every stolen intention turned into a curse that anchored their ambitions in despair. They whispered sickness into the winds, hoping it would take root in you, but the poison they sowed only festered within their own veins. They plotted to extinguish your light, to shatter your spirit, but it is their own shadows that now consume them, leaving them adrift in the darkness they summoned. The energy they unleashed has returned, as it always does, a relentless tide, delivering justice with every ripple. The storm they summoned did not scatter. It gathered strength, turning its fury back upon them, amplified by the weight of their own intent. Malice, like a blade cast into the wind, always returns to its sender, sharper and more relentless than before. They thought you weak, an easy target for their schemes, but they failed to see the unyielding strength forged within you by every trial you endured. You are the flame that tempers steel, the unshakable force they could not break. Their downfall was not born of your vengeance, but of their own disregard for the eternal law of balance. What they unleashed has consumed them, and now they stand as architects of their own ruin, bound by the very chains they forged in their pursuit of your destruction. They thought themselves untouchable, wielding darkness as a weapon, blind to the truth that the energy they unleashed would not bend to their will. What they aimed to destroy was shielded by a power beyond their comprehension, a force unyielding and eternal. Now the weapon they forged has turned on its creators, cutting through the fragile illusions they clung to. Their pride fractures like glass, splintering under the weight of their own malice. The air thickens around them, heavy and suffocating, as if the universe itself rejects their presence. Their strength, once a tool of destruction, now erodes from within, leaving their bodies hollow and frail, vessels for the venom they tried to pour into another. Their minds spiral into chaos, haunted by the echoes of their own hatred, a torment that grows louder with every passing moment. There is no escape, no solace, only the relentless justice of balance reclaiming what was always owed. Their world unravels piece by piece, each thread of their carefully woven facade snapping under the strain of their own deeds. The shadows they once dismissed now loom larger, creeping closer, whispering truths they cannot silence. Paranoia festers, gnawing at their sanity, until every step feels like a descent deeper into a maze with no exit. The life they built, propped up by deceit and stolen power, begins to crumble like sand slipping through their fingers. Their empire, once towering and untouchable, collapses in an instant, reduced to ruins by the weight of their own corruption. Status fades like a fleeting memory, their name spoken only in scorn, their influence scattered to the winds. And as the walls of their illusion fall, the financial pillars they leaned on shatter, leaving nothing but emptiness in their wake. They are left grasping at the remnants of a life they can no longer claim, haunted by the relentless echoes of their own undoing. The balance they so carelessly disturbed now rises to collect its debt, unyielding and absolute. Every step of their plan, every piece of their carefully constructed gallows, was a monument to their own pride and blindness. They reveled in their certainty, convinced their design was unassailable, their victory inevitable. Yet they failed to see the ancient truth. The instruments of destruction are cursed to return to their creator. Like a shadow that cannot be outrun, the weight of their malice clings to them, pulling them into the abyss they dug for another. Just as Haman met his end on the gallows he built, so too do the wicked find their schemes twisted back upon them, their ambitions becoming the chains that drag them down. The pit they crafted with such precision now swallows them whole, a testament to the inescapable justice of balance. In their arrogance, they crafted a masterpiece of their own demise, each calculated move against you sealing their fate with meticulous precision. The traps they laid, the schemes they wove, were never meant for you. They were threads of their own undoing, tightening like a noose with every malicious thought and action. They believed themselves untouchable, blind to the eternal truth. Harm sent out into the world always circles back, sharper and more unrelenting than before. This is the unshakable law of divine balance, where justice is not delayed nor denied, but delivered with exacting force. Their downfall is not coincidence, it is consequence, the inevitable reckoning of karmic returns. What they built to destroy you has become the foundation of their own ruin, and in their collapse, the scales are finally set right. In the shadows, they conspired, a web of malice spun from shared envy and ambition, believing their unity would grant them the power to crush what they could not claim. Each whispered plot, each calculated move, was a thread woven into a tapestry of destruction, their collective intent a storm brewing with singular focus. They poured their energy into this purpose, a ritual of destruction born of desperation and greed. Yet they overlooked the truth that power drawn from darkness is a double-edged blade. The force they summoned, multiplied by their numbers, became an unstoppable tide, not of triumph, but of reckoning. The weight of their united intent, once aimed at you, turned inward, collapsing upon them like an avalanche, leaving them buried beneath the very ruin they sought to create. The coven, whether bound by secrecy, ambition, or shared malice, mistook their unity for strength, believing their collective will rendered them immune to consequence. Yet their alliance was not a fortress, but a tether, binding them together inescapably to the weight of their own undoing. The energy they aimed at you, magnified by their combined intent, spiraled beyond their control, transforming into a tempest that turned on its creators. Each thread of their deception, meticulously spun, became part of a tightening snare, choking them as one. Their shared fate was not the triumph they envisioned, but a reckoning of their own making, a collapse born from the very unity they thought would make them unstoppable. When judgment came, it was not a slow unraveling, but a furious storm, consuming them all in a single, unrelenting sweep. It did not pause to discriminate or hesitate. It struck with the precision of inevitability, unraveling their fragile web of lies and ambition. Like a chain reaction, each fall dragged the next into the void, their unity proving to be nothing more than a brittle facade. Bound together by greed and fear, they had forged an alliance destined to collapse under the weight of its own corruption. What they believed to be strength was merely an illusion, a house built on a foundation of deceit. And when the threads of their false unity snapped, the entire structure crumbled, burying them in the ruins of their own making. Judgment does not negotiate, it simply delivers what was always owed. The collapse was not a sudden blow, but a festering wound that tore them apart from the inside. Betrayal spread like poison in their veins, each one clawing for survival at the cost of another. What was once whispered in secrecy erupted into accusations, and the lies they buried rose to the surface, unmasking their fragile unity. Their shared schemes, once a weapon aimed at you, became daggers they turned on each other, shredding trust and loyalty until all that remained was chaos. In their desperation, they abandoned one another, selling out their allies to escape the storm they had summoned. But there was no refuge from the judgment that loomed over them. Their alliances crumbled, their motives laid bare, and the intricate plans they wove unraveled into dust. The energy they had so carefully directed at you became a wildfire, devouring them piece by piece, leaving nothing but ruin in its wake. They believed their numbers made them invincible, a fortress too strong to breach, but their downfall erupted from within, a cascade of infighting and betrayal that tore them apart. Divine justice is neither swift nor merciful. It is deliberate, relentless, and all-encompassing. It does not falter, nor does it show favoritism. It dismantles the proud and devours the wicked, leaving nothing hidden, no sin unaccounted for. In aligning themselves with darkness, they signed an unbreakable contract, one that demanded its due with precision and finality. Spiritual law is unyielding, a force beyond reproach, and when its balance is tipped, it moves with an exactness that cannot be escaped. Their unity, once their pride, became their prison, and the pact they forged in greed became the chains that dragged them into ruin. Group energy, when wielded with malicious intent, is a double-edged sword, a force that grows with every act of cruelty, every whispered scheme, until it becomes an unstoppable flood. Yet, what they failed to understand was that this same energy, amplified by their collective malice, would inevitably turn back on them, a tidal wave of destruction swallowing its creators. They believed they could control it, bend it to their will, but darkness is a treacherous master, loyal to no one. It consumes everything, including those who dare to summon it. Their alliance, much like a house of cards, was built on greed and held together by fear, fragile, doomed to collapse under the weight of its own corruption. Like Scar's betrayal in The Lion King, their conspiracy was destined to implode, the very forces they unleashed turning inward to devour them. Darkness, by its nature, consumes its own, and the betrayal they sowed became their undoing, a perfect reflection of their fate, etched in the shards of their shattered ambitions. The spiritual law that sealed their fate was unyielding. What they unleashed would return to them, relentless and unmerciful, until the scales were balanced. They sowed destruction in their greed and reaped devastation in its purest form. In their blind pursuit of power, they became victims of the very darkness they sought to wield, consumed by the forces they could never truly command. But you are not like them. You are not bound by their limits. You are the revolution, the wildfire that burns through their boundaries and sets the horizon ablaze. While they are lost in the shadows of their own mediocrity, you rise, unstoppable, leaving a trail of brilliance that redefines the sky. You transform chaos into your crown, failures into fuel, and ruins into the foundations of empires. They will never grasp your strength, for it is not born of their world. It is yours alone, forged in resilience and destined to reshape everything they thought they controlled. They came for you because your energy is a force they could never comprehend, a vibration so pure and elevated that it threatens the very foundations of their schemes. Your presence is a disruption, a beacon of light that exposes the shadows they cling to. They envied the effortless way the universe aligned in your favor, not through deceit or control, but through the natural harmony of your spirit with the divine. They couldn't understand how doors opened for you without struggle, how blessings found their way to you without compromise. You didn't need to manipulate, plead, or conform. Your path was carved by destiny, your steps guided by purpose. And this truth enraged them, for no matter how hard they tried, they could never replicate what was uniquely yours, a gift they could neither steal nor destroy. Dark forces always overreach, blinded by their insatiable hunger for what they cannot truly possess. They deal in absolutes, demanding a price far greater than the value of their fleeting rewards, and the currency is always the most sacred: energy, life, or soul. What they craved from you wasn't just rare, it was irreplaceable. Your essence, the divine spark that fuels your connection to the infinite, was the ultimate treasure they sought. It wasn't your talents, your blessings, or even your success that tempted them. It was the boundless light within you, the key to a destiny they could never claim. They believed that by offering your light, they could buy power, wealth, or dominion. But like King Midas, their greed blinded them to the true cost of their ambition. The bargain they struck was doomed from the start, for dark forces always take more than they give, leaving ruin in their wake. What they failed to grasp was that your energy, your light, is bound to a purpose far beyond their comprehension, a purpose they could never touch. Their greed became their undoing, for in their desperation to claim what was never theirs, they offered the only thing they had, their own essence. Unaware of the magnitude of their folly, they sacrificed themselves to forces they could neither control nor comprehend. What they sought to seize consumed them, for the divine cannot be bartered or stolen. It is eternal, untouchable, and fiercely protected. They lusted after the brilliance you carry, a power so luminous and rare that it defies all measure. They mistook your blessings for treasures they could plunder, believing they could harness your gifts and bend them to their will. But what they failed to grasp is that your power is not a possession, not a prize to be claimed. It is a sacred bond, a living connection to the infinite source that chose you and you alone. To challenge it was to challenge the divine itself, and in doing so, they sealed their fate, becoming lost in the very shadows they once sought to command. They chased your light, blinded by their own greed, never understanding that its brilliance is both a gift and a burden, only meant for the chosen. In their arrogance, they reached for what was never theirs to hold, like intruders breaking into a sanctuary, guarded by forces far beyond their comprehension. The essence they sought to claim demanded a price far greater than they could ever pay, and instead of gaining power, they unraveled their own existence. What you carry is not just light, it is a force of divine magnitude, a weight they were never prepared to bear. Their ambition became their downfall, crushed under the enormity of what they tried to take. The divine does not waver in its justice, and the fire they awakened consumed them entirely. They lost not only what they had, but the future they had dreamed of, forfeiting everything in their futile attempt to steal a crown that was never theirs. Let this be a reminder. Your blessings are untouchable, and when you know your worth, you know it is eternally protected. Anubis stands as the eternal sentinel, unwavering and impartial, holding the scales of Ma'at, with a quiet authority that cannot be swayed. This is the reckoning they feared, the moment their hearts would be laid bare before the truth. The feather of Ma'at does not bend to lies, nor does it falter under the weight of false intentions. It measures only purity, only justice. Their hearts, swollen with malice, envy, and deceit, sink heavily onto the scales, tipping them before the ceremony even begins. The darkness they nurtured within themselves clings like chains, pulling them deeper into the void they tried so desperately to escape. They had spent their lives running from the truth, but hatred had already calcified their hearts, envy had poisoned their essence, and corruption had consumed every last fragment of light within them. In the end, they were not condemned by an external force, but by the unbearable weight of their own deeds, leaving them with no path to redemption, only the abyss they had created for themselves. The energy of Anubis, timeless and unforgiving, looms over them, marking the end of their illusions. They believed their shadows could conceal their sins, that their darkness could remain unseen, but the scales reveal all. Like the relentless echo of Poe's telltale heart, the truth they buried rises, louder than their silence, a deafening rhythm in the void that declares their downfall. The weight of their guilt is inescapable, for a heart steeped in hatred, greed, and betrayal becomes its own executioner. When the scales tip, there is no mercy, no escape, only the cold and unyielding justice they called upon themselves. The devourer waits, patient and hungry, for what they carry is not light, but the heavy burden of their choices. This is the reckoning they summoned, the judgment they forged with their own hands. No shadow is deep enough, no void vast enough to hide from the truth, and as the weight of their deeds crushes them, they are left to face the justice they could never outrun. Darkness is a ravenous force, loyal to no one, feeding on the very souls that dare to summon it. Those who believe they can command it, that they can bargain with shadows and remain untouched, are blind to its true nature. Darkness does not serve, it consumes. It lures with whispers of power, only to devour those foolish enough to listen. The entities they called upon did not betray them out of cruelty, but because this is the essence of the void, to manipulate, to feed, and to destroy. They thought they could wield the abyss, that their will could shape its chaos, but they were never its masters. Their allegiance was nothing more than an offering, their souls mere kindling to stoke its endless hunger. In the end, they were not conquerors of the dark, they were its sacrifice. The forces they summoned are cold and unfeeling, bound not by loyalty or alliance, but by their singular purpose, to consume, to destroy, and to move on. What they sought to wield as a weapon against you became the very blade that cut them down, turning their ambitions into ashes. Darkness is a force of chaos, unbound by sentiment, and when its purpose is fulfilled, it does not remain to revel in its triumph. It abandons its summoners to the ruin they brought upon themselves. Hollowed out and stripped of all they once were, they are left as empty shells, echoes of their own undoing, reverberating endlessly in the void. What they unleashed was never theirs to control, and in their arrogance, they became its first and final victims. Their pride was their downfall, a veil that kept them from seeing the immutable truth. The abyss bows to no one. They believed their schemes, their intentions, could shackle the infinite chaos, bending it to serve their desires. But darkness is treacherous, a blade that cuts both ways, and the moment they grasped it, it turned against them. Now they stand in the ruins of their ambition, forsaken by the very forces they sought to command, their existence reduced to nothing but ash and regret. Darkness knows no allegiance, no loyalty. It devours all who dare to wield it. They were the first to crumble, victims of their own hubris, while you remain untouchable. Encased in a radiant armor forged by divine hands, you are a fortress of light, impervious to their malice, protected by powers beyond their comprehension. Their defeat was inevitable, for they fought against what they could never hope to conquer. What is ordained by forces beyond their reach remains untouchable, sealed by a light they cannot dim. Their schemes, their curses, their rituals, all were futile, mere shadows clawing at an unyielding fortress of brilliance. Every incantation they whispered, every dark intention they unleashed, crumbled against you like dust scattered in a storm, powerless and fleeting. The divine shield that surrounds you is unshakable, a radiant barrier that no darkness can penetrate. In their desperation, they only hastened their own ruin, their efforts unraveling into chaos as the very forces they sought to command turned against them. You stand resolute, untouched, while they are consumed by the consequences of their own folly. They reached into the void, grasping at forces far beyond their understanding, believing they could bend the darkness to their will. But the abyss is no tool, it is a curse, and now it festers within them, an unending torment that gnaws at their very souls. The shadows they unleashed have become their prison, filling their minds with ceaseless whispers that echo louder with each heartbeat. Paranoia wraps around them like a noose, tightening with every moment, while fear becomes the air they breathe. They are pursued not only by the entities they summoned, but by the crushing weight of their own sins, their greed, their hatred, their lust for power. It has consumed them, turning allies into enemies and unity into betrayal. Like the judges of Salem, they have become victims of the very darkness they sought to wield, their downfall a grim testament to the chaos they unleashed. Darkness is no gift, it is a debt, and when the chosen are shielded, that debt is paid in the blood of the summoners. Their malice, their hatred, the very venom they poured into their schemes has become the weapon that now tears them apart. They failed because they never grasped the eternal truth. What is protected by the divine cannot be broken, and what is destined cannot be undone. Their downfall was written the moment they conspired against you, weaving plots as delicate and fragile as spiderwebs, only to be ensnared in their own designs. They sought to see you stripped of everything, your home, your peace, your strength, leaving you abandoned and broken, cast into the shadows of despair. Their intentions were cruel, their hearts blackened with envy, but their plans were doomed from the start. You remain unshaken while they are devoured by the very darkness they unleashed, their ruin the inevitable price of their malice. Each word they spoke, each scheme they wove, was designed to break you, to shatter your resolve, and smother the light within, leaving you adrift in despair. They believed their darkness could suffocate your purpose, that their malice could consume your strength. But they underestimated the force that surrounds you, the unyielding barrier of divine protection. Every curse they hurled, every shadow they summoned, was met with the brilliance of that shield, their venomous intentions crumbling like brittle glass against its surface. The heavens themselves stood vigilant, turning their hatred back upon them, a storm of their own making. While they are consumed by the chaos they unleashed, you remain steadfast, your light undimmed, your spirit unbroken, a beacon of purpose that no darkness can extinguish. Every scheme they devised became the seeds of their own downfall, every hateful word a blade that turned back to pierce their own hearts. Your survival was no accident, no stroke of luck. It was the result of a purpose far beyond their comprehension, a divine design that shields and sustains you. You are not simply strong, you are untouchable, chosen, and upheld by a force they could never hope to challenge. Their efforts to see you reduced to rubble have only fueled your rise, for where they sought ruin, there is now radiance. Where they aimed to shatter you, there is a strength forged in fire, unyielding and indomitable. You are not just a survivor, you are a testament to the power of light over darkness, a living miracle thriving in defiance of their every attempt to extinguish you. Their schemes crumbled because you stand rooted in a power that cannot be shaken, a force immovable and eternal. Your survival is not just a testament to their failure, it is the undeniable proof that no weapon, no plan, no act of malice can prevail against you. As Isaiah 54:17 proclaims, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." And these words are not hollow. They are a divine decree, unyielding and absolute. They conspired in arrogance, believing they could circumvent the will of the divine, but their downfall was written long before their plans were set in motion. Every move they made to harm you only hastened their own destruction, as divine precision unraveled their schemes thread by thread. Their traps collapsed before they could be triggered, their efforts undone by a power far greater than their understanding. You are protected, chosen, and upheld, and their failure was inevitable. The power they conjured to break you dissolved like mist under the morning sun, or worse, recoiled to consume them instead, for the forces guarding you are unyielding and absolute. Divine intervention does not announce itself with grand displays. It moves silently, with unwavering authority, reshaping every attack meant to harm you into a shield of protection. Their hatred, their schemes, were as fragile as shadows before the dawn, as fleeting as sandcastles against an unrelenting tide. Before their malice could solidify, it was swept away, undone by the quiet but unstoppable force that surrounds and sustains you. What they intended for destruction became the very proof of your invincibility. What they failed to realize was that their battle was never truly with you. It was with a purpose far greater than themselves, a divine will that cannot be thwarted. No scheme, no shadowed whisper, no force of darkness could ever stand against what has been ordained. Their plans collapsed under the unbearable weight of their own hubris, not because they lacked cunning, but because you are untouchable, protected and sealed by powers beyond their comprehension. Every attempt to harm you became a testament to their own futility, a glaring reminder of the divine justice that shields you. Their weapons of malice shattered before they could find their mark, their curses scattered like leaves in the wind, powerless against the unyielding force that surrounds you. Their failure was not mere chance, it was divine order, ensuring that every act of harm they intended only strengthened you. Their darkness, instead of consuming you, became the light that illuminated your path to even greater blessings, turning their every effort into a stepping stone for your rise. I remember the days when it felt like the weight of the world pressed against me, when the air was thick with unseen plots and whispered schemes meant to bring me down. The storm raged, fierce and unrelenting, and though I couldn't always see the weapons formed against me, I could feel their intent, like shadows brushing against my spirit. Yet every wave that rose to drown me became the current that carried me higher. Every failure they envisioned became the cornerstone of my triumph. What they meant to bury me only unearthed my strength, exposing not my fragility, but the unyielding power within me. Divine balance never falters. Every trial they placed in my path became a stepping stone toward greater blessings. For every tear shed, there is joy multiplied. For every wound inflicted, there is healing that transforms into unshakable victory. What was meant to destroy me only carved the way for my elevation, proving that no storm can outlast the light destined to shine. This is more than mere survival. It is the manifestation of triumph beyond comprehension, the divine exchange for every hardship you've endured. Their failure is not just evidence of their weakness, but a testament to your unshakable purpose. No weapon, no scheme, no force of darkness can alter what has been divinely ordained for you. Your purpose is untouchable, your covering unbreakable, and your destiny unstoppable. Declare it boldly. Victory is my birthright, for your elevation is inevitable. They sought to manipulate forces beyond their understanding, to trade your light for fleeting shadows, but they failed to grasp an eternal truth. The divine does not negotiate with darkness. What they tried to take was never within their grasp, and their schemes, fragile as dry leaves beneath the weight of divine authority, crumbled into nothing. Every step they took to harm you only accelerated their own collapse, For those who walk in righteousness are shielded by a power that no earthly hand can reach. Their downfall was inevitable, for they chose to wage war against a force they could never overcome. While they became consumed by their own darkness, you rose as the embodiment of life, resilience, and divine favor. The attacks meant to destroy you only served to refine you, like gold purified in fire. Every trap they laid beneath your feet became a stepping stone to greater heights, each one a reminder of the unshakable grace that shields you. They wielded every weapon they could forge, but as the word declares, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Their failure was not by chance. It was the natural consequence of opposing what is divinely ordained. Your purpose is eternal, your protection unbreakable. As Psalm 37:9 assures, evil may flourish for a fleeting moment, but the righteous will always inherit the earth. You are the living, breathing testament to this promise, proof that no force can stand against those who walk in alignment with divine purpose. Where their plans crumbled, your foundation was built. Where they were ensnared by their own schemes, you flourished in the overflow of blessings prepared for you. Remember this, chosen one, their downfall was the prelude to your ascension, for death has claimed them, but divine, overflowing, and eternal life flows through you. Let your story be a beacon, a living testament to the power of divine justice and unshakable purpose. Your triumph is not just your own, it is a light for others, a reminder that no darkness can extinguish what is destined to shine. Speak boldly, for your voice carries the spark of hope and the brilliance of a purpose fulfilled.